So this is the fourth conference that we hold here in Paris on Islamophobia. And this is, again, just to give people background. We began to do this work initially a few years back between myself, Ramon, and a few other people, having a closed gathering between different scholars and academics just to discuss how to confront and deal with Islamophobia. And from that initial discussions emerged a set of conferences and publications to seed the ground academically on the subject of Islamophobia. In Berkeley, we had been engaged in the research and work in Islamophobia for close to 10 years right now. Our international conference is the 9th annual conference that takes place in there, and have been able to produce considerable material for the Islamophobia Studies Journal. On the side of these conferences, there are also many community efforts and engagement that takes place usually throughout Europe, usually on Saturday, Sunday, and then for the next 2 weeks. Because to counter and to engage in Islamophobia, you have to do both on the grassroots level as well as on the intellectual and academic level. We're living in an Islamophobic social imaginary, and we're also living in a political landscape that has been completely taken over by the Islamophobes. We have witnessed the Brexit vote, which was heavily focused on immigrants, refugees, and Muslims. We're already seeing the consequences of the vote in the United States with the coming of Trump into power. And we still don't know really the consequences of this, both on a national level, but also more so on academic level, and what areas we can actually see the effects, especially on funding and resources directed academically. And this is not to downplay the possibility of deportation of 11 million immigrants in the United States, which is a serious threat. Having said that during the period after 9/11 and also during Obama, we did experience close to 2.5, possibly 3 million deportation. So it's not that the period of Obama was completely without any major push to immigrants and refugees, but definitely the rhetoric is completely different nature with the election of Trump. And we know here in Paris there will be another election coming next year. And likewise, the focus on the Muslim subject and their presence and their possible place in the French society is something that will be highlighted in this upcoming election. So this is a phenomena that is global. And after this conference, we're actually going to be heading to a number of other places in Europe to continue this work, and then a few of us will head to India for also another conference on Islamophobia there, and an engagement, since there's an intensification of Islamophobic discourse as well. Just briefly, before we were actually talking outside, myself and Ramon, is that it's not that the right wing is copying each other, they're coordinating with each other. Some of the main leaders in Europe actually attended and participated in the US political campaigning. They were part of attending the Republican convention. They were part of the spin room after the debates, engaging in being interviewed with various TV outlets. And there are shifting resources back and forth across the Atlantic between the Islamophobic industry. And last year, one of the panels actually focused on mapping the financial resources, the institutions that are engaged in the production of Islamophobia and promotion across the Atlantic. So rather than think that they're just watching each other on the news and introducing the idea, what we see is that they're actually coordinating and working through a structured type of approach to the strategies. And even we could go even much earlier. There actually was some meetings in Geneva among some of the key Islamophobic figures. At that time, it was about 80 individuals that participated in such a setting to strategize and highlight the need to confront as well as push the Muslim subject into the forefront on the political campaign and the strategy. So this is a timely discussion for us. This title or this theme is Contending Epistemologies, Euro-Centrism, Knowledge Production, and Islamophobia. So we're trying to quiz this subject and this discussion. Today we have great participants that will engage in healthy discussion. The conference will be recorded and will be posted on the UC Berkeley channel, YouTube, and then we will be hounding you for the papers because we try to publish from each conference a series of papers in the Islamophobia Studies Journal. And just to announce that the Islamophobia Studies Journal has moved to Pluto Press. So now we're actually, it will be through the Pluto Press and will be available at JSTOR academically and all the libraries. So that's an important shift for us and development. So whatever we produce actually will have a global audience immediately. So that's an important qualitative jump for the work on Islamophobia. So I encourage you to actually finish your papers, and after the conference, if you need to rework some of the draft after the discussion, by all means submit it. And just to give you the audience for the journal, when we put out the journal on the Center for Race and Gender, we had close to 13,000 downloads. And some of the main published journals can't even reach 500 to 1,000, even with an established academic track record. So we have really a very well-established network of people that are looking at Islamophobia and beginning to engage the subject.